I'm not against segregation.
Oh my word!
I'm not, okay. And the reason.
So that's a clip.
That's a huge.
I'm literally just gonna cut that and just say I'm not against segregation. Boom, that's it.
Yeah.
And then say like this man here believes we need to segregate our schools.
And you have to understand.
All right, so now unpackage that.
Okay. There is nothing wrong with an individual saying, I want to be around like-minded individuals. And you might find that a lot of like-minded individuals are of the same culture or so-called race. We know there's only one race, it's the human race. But for the sake of the conversation, you might find that, you know, if a person says, well, I like this culture, I like this personality, I like this idea, this way of thinking. And so they get around those people. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem comes in when one group
decides they have the right to disrespect
starts
the other.
harming the other group.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, but before we go there, how about let's clarify a little bit more. What about, because I think that's an obvious jump. That's an obvious, like it's obvious there. It's like, okay, the problem is once you start disrespecting. But what about, is there an issue if this group here is like, I want to be around this culture, but and you start being in these people, this culture, but is an issue when you start to say, no, you can't come over here. Though I don't want you, you're not allowed over here because you're not a part of this culture.
Well, yes. Okay. And wait,
yes, that's an issue?
It's...
Or it can be an issue.
I did say yes, but what I'm saying is that is a viable consideration. Okay, if an individual doesn't, at the very least, respect that culture that they're entering into, you'll find that that person just won't be welcome anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're coming to disrupt.
Yeah, it has to all be mutual respect.
There has to be.
This definitely needs more explanation, because this is a situation where a lot of people right now who are watching probably are going to say, "Hold on a second." They're going to be examining this alongside,
which is great. And I'll say this. I'll say this. We might not be able to come to a clear consensus within the time constraints that we have, but at least
I just think it's important to explain a little bit more, and I think it's important to kind of direct the conversation in that direction. A lot of people are going to be examining this alongside civil rights, alongside because that's the most notable idea of segregation they're going to have in their head, which is you have a time period when black people aren't allowed on buses. They're supposed to sit in the back of the bus. They're not allowed here or there. You know, and just because of the color of their skin.
Right.
Now, first, I think first question is, would that be considered disrespect?
Yes.
That is considered disrespect.
Yes. And that's
very important to delineate, because some people might be getting the idea right now that you're not saying that would be disrespecting, you're saying that kind of thing would be okay. To tell a person they can't come over here because they're from a different culture. Because that's what they're going to hear when you say, I don't have an issue with segregation. You're going to say, oh, so you don't have an issue with the way... not the complete definition of segregation. I just explained it, but what they perceive segregation as, the most notable examples of segregation, which is completely racially based, and in general, like in the majority, there was, like, you're talking about physical violence, but you can't say that always. There's other situations where it was just simply verbally, like, get out of here, you're not allowed over here.
Right, and that would be where it comes in, what we were saying previously, that as long as one group is not harming the other, and it goes in both ways, both the one who's receiving and the one who's giving, right? As long as there's not harm, and disrespect is harm, okay? It might not be physical, but it does have play a physical, you know, more cortisol in the body means more, you know, corrosion. It becomes very
physical
corrosive.
Discomfort.
Right. So if somebody is disrespected, now this goes back to what we were talking about previously, that I can't just say, oh, because I feel disrespected, therefore I am disrespected. Right. So again,
what you're talking about is perceived and actual disrespect.
The difference between perceived and actual disrespect, and so that's why it would be well. And look, what we're talking about, again, we're talking about a societal,
Oh yeah.
like everything changing, okay? Because today, you go from one end of the earth to the next. It'll be like, well, I did this because of that. Or
Well, let's define respect.
okay.
You have the definition off the top of your head? Do I need to
with-
Google it? Well, I know specifically because you mentioned the peaceful solution, and there's a specific definition in there which references care, consideration, and concern, and that's the definition of the program that you're a part of.
Yeah, the peaceful
Which
solution.
you were mentioning, which is definition of having care, consideration, and concern. I think that's very important to explain, because if a person who doesn't understand that that's what respect is, might read a definition, or you can get a definition here. We'll just talk about giving special attention to or regard. And if under that definition of respect, and go, okay, well, I don't have to give anyone special attention. So just because I tell this person over here because of the color of their skin, they can't come over here, I'm not disrespecting them.
Right.
But you're talking about having a care, consideration, or concern. So if someone doesn't care or consider or have concern over another, a certain group of people, that is disrespect.
Yeah.
So if they don't have an issue, like if they're, even if it's not, so then you could take that and lay that out in the situation of what we're talking about, segregation, civil rights, where you go, it's not even just talking about the people here, we're talking about people who are just sitting in the restaurant watching. If you don't have a concern that I see these people physically harming this other person for not doing anything wrong, then you're disrespecting them.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the people who are physically dragging them out of the restaurant
Exactly.
because they're different color.
becomes
Just
everyone's
sitting there,
mutual responsibility.
Right.
just sitting there and watching. That's why, but that's why it's important. That's kind of how this whole movement started, the whole civil rights movement started. And it's kind of interesting. It's something we mentioned in the last conversation with Larry McGee about where he's talking about the Civil War, and he's talking about how, people don't recognize that there were white people who freed the slaves.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the black people didn't have the right to vote.
You couldn't free you couldn't free yourself from that.
You couldn't free
bondage.
yourself. So it was these people here who took it upon themselves and realized, some of them, not all of them, because that's a deeper conversation which we had with him, where some of it was about personal gain, but some of them who took it upon themselves to say, I can't sit idly by and watch this wrong.
Yeah.
Who have actual respect. But I thought it was important to kind of define what you're talking about when you talk about respect, because some people would not have that definition.
Well, you're right.
There's 3 words.
And a lot of people kind of blur the lines between respect and trust, and they're not the same.
Or
But
fear.
Right, with fear too, and even that, it's not because you fear somebody that you respect them. So again, all of those things go back to what we were talking about. Opinion, and opinion has to be educated, right? Your opinion has to be educated. It can't just be, I feel, therefore I am. Right.
That's the issue in the world today.
Yeah, but that's what you see in the world today.
Listen, guys, we're doing great things here at the Lamplight Productions, and you can be a part of it for the low price of $0.00. Because all you gotta do is subscribe, ring the bell, ding dong. You can't go wrong, or don't. It's a free country. Do whatever you want. Though I don't know how you can live with yourself.